Get started here in just a second. Wave. Good evening. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. I definitely am. With the exception of some weird people on Instagram, but we'll get to that. All right. Oh boy. Well, thank you for joining. My name is Conspiracy Kyle. I appreciate everybody hopping in on a Saturday night to say hello. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. I'm having a great day. Got to spend a lot of time outside with my kids, hanging out outside in the country. Got to go swimming. Got to pet some horses. Got to have a lot of fun. So, hello. Thank you everybody for joining. So, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to have to for this. I got this really cool Yoda commemorative cup. And, I'm going to have to frickin' drink out of it tonight just because it's necessary. So, bear with me here for a second. We gotta put some Yoda juice in here. Oh man. Alright. So alright. Yoda is tasty and delicious. That came out really, really weird. So okay. Here we go. Nothing like drinking out of Yoda, There's really nothing like it. Nice Corona, kind of goes with the 2020, 21, 21 theme out of the Yoda cup. So, why I want to jump on and chat this evening is, it's kind of funny, there's things that you can post online. Thank you everybody for joining, by the way. There's things that you can post online that are going to trigger people. Anything to do with COVID or COVID deaths, or even when you go back in kind of conspiracy world, if you talk about 9/11 and things like that, people say, "Oh my God, people died. I can't believe you're talking about this. I can't believe that you're making light of these situations." So there's a lot of odd things. Like I said, obviously there's a lot of things you can post that are going to trigger people, and it is what it is, and that going into it. There's some things that you post that you expect one reaction and you get a different reaction. So, hey everybody who's hopped in here. So, I wanted to talk about some really crazy interactions I had earlier here on Instagram. I posted something, and mind you, everybody that's probably watching this, anybody that's seen my Instagram or listened to my podcast or whatever, I use a lot of sarcasm, okay, like you should online. I try to add a little comedic edge to a lot of things just to, because the world's crazy enough, we can add a little humor into certain things. So I made this post earlier today on Instagram and Twitter, and wow, did people get triggered by this. So I said, I saw someone push mowing with a mask on outside by themselves. Now I feel the need to drive off a cliff. Bye. Innocuous little tweet, kind of stupid little thing, but, obviously the point of it was that it kind of goes with the whole COVID fear thing. And, when you see these things, when you see people, three things. When you see people walking around outside with a mask on, when you see people driving in their car by themselves with a mask on, I've seen those in over the past year or two, and that's absolutely crazy and ridiculous. This third one I just saw for the first time today. I've never seen this before in my entire life. I'm 36 years old. I've mowed yards. I know a lot of people that are in the landscaping business. I kind of sound like Trump there, like, I know this thing, I know a lot of people in this, believe me, trust me, I'm the best in the landscaping. But anyways, I know about mowing yards, I know about all this kind of stuff, okay? I have never once seen a person wearing a face mask mowing the yard, or industrial, whatever, jobs, etc. I've seen, obviously, goggles, I wear glasses, okay? You protect your eyes, whatever. Hey, Awake Not Awake Woke podcast. Offense is just projection in disguise. You're poking at their insecurities. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That was my best Trump impression. I have the best Trump impressions. Believe me. If there's one person that has the Trump impressions, it's me. So anyways, I post this tweet about, basically about people mowing with masks on. Because, like I said, I've never seen this before. I live in Ohio, okay? I don't know if maybe things are different in other states, and maybe that's the case, and maybe I'm off base here. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I've never heard this before. So I got seriously trolled and triggered people hitting me up in the messages in the comments saying, well, for one, people have really bad allergies. Yes, Jethro Tull 001. Yes, exactly. That's the first thing I heard was, well, people have allergies and stuff. And yes, I understand that 100%. And that's not even what I was talking about. I was kind of going towards the more COVID fear type stuff. So yeah, I totally understand people that have, allergies, pollen allergies. I know pollen is bad up here. So, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to that there. So I get that point, but then people were starting to take it real seriously, okay? Like super, super seriously. And I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus or say people by name, but you can look at Instagram, go look at my Twitter, whatever. Someone's like, well, my son, when he's outside, he gets terrible allergies and stuff, and his eyes can swell up. And he's like, but he's a person too, and he still matters. It's like, dude, I wasn't coming to your house and making fun of your son and doing an Instagram live and saying, ha ha ha, look at this dumbass, ha ha, he's wearing... No. Because I understand that specific situation is not what I'm talking about. Okay, true, I am making a generalization, but it's a generalization about the whole COVID fear thing. Because like I said, I've never seen somebody wearing a mask like that before. Okay, true, there may be allergies. Okay, that's fine. Jet Nunia, it's in NYC, it's a shit. So people wearing masks and gloves still. Yeah, the glove thing is great, right? Because when you walk, it's already just being bacteria infested. So that's pretty stupid. So people take things so goddamn seriously anymore. And even someone told me, lighten up, dude. It's like, dude, I'm making sarcastic comments on the internet. Look, I'm a freaking nerd in the basement with all my Star Wars toys. If you're triggered by someone, posting about stuff on Instagram, get over it. Get off it. It's so ridiculous. So, and there's a lot of things in my life that I could be triggered about if I wanted to, but I choose not to, because people have to understand what sarcasm and what, conjecture and stuff like that is versus a personal attack. Okay. I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I have a son with autism. Hey, hug a cloud. You killed it on tinfoil. Hey, thank you so much. That was a great time. I was super fortunate to be able to get the call for that. That was a great time. I'm trying to badger him into getting. There were a lot of things we didn't get to talk about. I know Sam Tripoli, he's into a lot of like the loosh and the energy and that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of that good stuff in Star Wars that I wanted to get to as well, but we didn't have time for it. So hopefully we'll be able to. What was I saying? Okay, so like, I have things that I could be triggered about if I want to. Like, I have a son with autism. Okay, and in the conspiracy truth community, that's a big thing where people talk about. If you give the kids vaccines, they could have autism, this and that. They're going to be wearing diapers for the rest of their life, this and that kind of stuff. And, it bothers, I guess it bothers me hearing it. But at the same time, like, they're not talking directly to me. They're making a generalized statement about something that maybe it affects me, but they're not directing it directly at me. They're kind of just putting it out into the atmosphere, into the ether, just as an overall thought. It's not a pointed attack. That's the thing. So people are coming out of the woodwork, and I got to read you one of these on Twitter here. I mean, this guy was, sent 3, 4, or 5 comments on this saying, I've worn a mask over 10 years mowing, it protects keeping all this stuff out of my nose and my lungs and all this stuff. And okay, that's great. I wasn't talking about people with allergies. I'm talking about people mowing the grass with a mask on due to COVID fear, okay? People walking down the streets with a mask on due to COVID fear. People in their cars with a mask on by themselves. I even saw a stupid picture of somebody that had like masks over their, air vents and stuff in the car. I don't know if that was a joke or whatnot, but people telling me to light up. I mean, they're the ones getting triggered about it. So I wanted to throw a little bit out there, but it is what it is. I hope everybody's having a really great evening. I'm gonna just kind of look up some news stories here and kind of see what's been happening. Anybody out there in the chat have any crazy news stories or things that have been happening today? I was outside with the kids and with some family and stuff for most of the day, so I haven't caught up on all the crazy whatever news of the day or fake news of the day. But I'm gonna pull some silly stuff up here just to kind of see what we have going on. Oh, and yeah, and if you just joined, I had to pour some beer into my Yoda cup here. One of those days you just have to, you have to kind of breathe and just kind of, seems like everyone is still talking about McAfee. Yeah, that's one I haven't really had. I don't really necessarily know what my opinion is on that. I mean, there's so many different things floating around about that. Some people saying, well, was he a government agent? Was he just kind of a person who had this drop dead switch or whatever it was called, that he had all this stuff on the government and people, and I haven't looked into it fully, but people were trying to say that, and anybody in the chat, feel free to chime in, saying that was linked to that one building that fell in Miami. I mean, if so, that's a coincidence of all coincidences right there. But excuse me, I haven't personally been able to verify that's the thing or not. But yeah, I mean, that guy is he's out there. I've heard him on several podcasts in the past. I mean, I think I've heard him on Sam Tripoli. I know I've heard him on the No Mercy podcast probably a year or so ago. He's very, very interesting fellow and has a lot of controversy surrounding him. So it's hard to say what really happened. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's probably an Epstein-like situation where he didn't kill himself and it was due to some government fuckery. Jeremy Bishop 4. What's your Star Wars collection worth? Not really that much. I mean, I have some pieces that were like especially created that it's like you can't really put a value on it, but I don't know, probably less than like $1,000. I mean, I don't collect too much anymore. I mean, I actually need to arrange all this stuff back here in a more orderly fashion so you can kind of see more of it. I mean, my favorite thing that I have, well, two of my favorite things. One, I need to kind of put it back together, but right here, this is a Cloud City Lego set, which was like 2,500 pieces or something crazy, and it took me many days to put that together. So the Cloud City Lego set, I'll have to make a video about it and show you all the pieces, but it was really freaking cool. But Jeremy Bishop 4, what's your favorite piece? So my favorite piece is the Baby Yoda portrait or painting you see back here. My wife got that for me for Christmas last year. She had a local artist up here in Ohio, hand paint it on this canvas, and it's really freaking cool. If I can find I need to find the guy's name. I know he's here on Instagram somewhere if anybody wants that kind of art, but I love it so much. I think it's perfectly hand painted. So I would say that's probably my favorite piece. It's really freaking cool. But as far as the collecting, I mean, I've collected a few things here and there, but most of it is from probably 10, 20, 25 years ago. I mean, I think I've lost more of my collection than I actually have right now. When I was probably in my mid-20s, I had already moved out of my parents' house for about 5, 6, 7 years, and I kind of thought I started I was really big into Star Wars when I was a kid, and then in my teenage years and stuff. But then once you get into college and stuff, I kind of started gravitating towards other things. But then once I started getting back into Star Wars hardcore again in my mid-20s, I was like, oh shit! I wonder if my parents still have a lot of that stuff in the basement of our house. Like, I want to go snag some of that stuff up. I mean, I had some cool chicken walkers, some cool ships and stuff, and a lot of action figures from the mid-90s, which for hardcore collectors that doesn't really mean anything, because the only stuff that matters is the real original stuff. But for me, that's when I grew up, so it is what it is. Hold on one second, let me grab something here. This one here is one of my favorites because it is my oldest one I have. This is a 1983 Luke Skywalker action figure, and he doesn't have all the stuff with him. He had like a cape and a lightsaber and stuff, but like when my mother-in-law was moving out of her house 10 years ago or so, she had kind of like a junk thing of like all my wife's toys and stuff from when she was a kid. And I was just digging through them, and I saw this. I'm like, holy shit! Like that's like a. And I looked on, like it says it on the back of the leg, 1983. So I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Obviously, it's not worth anything because it doesn't have all the stuff and it's not in the box or whatever. But I think that's really cool. You know, that 1983 Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. You see, this is the point where he has that, you know, mechanical arm. So that's another one of my favorite ones there. Pretty cool stuff there. But anyways, got a little sidetracked. When I went back to my parents' house to look on all of my Star Wars stuff that I had when I was a kid, my mom was like, "Oh yeah, we donated all that stuff to the Goodwill." So I'm like, "Mom, what the hell? Come on!" And I'm probably looking like a freaking idiot, like in my mid-20s, going back looking for my Star Wars toys, like a moron. But you know, in retrospect, a lot of that stuff would have been pretty cool. And you know, even if my kids didn't like it, I'd have it displayed back here like a total nerd. But you know what? It's the thing I like, and you know, it is what it is. So let me. I was pulling up some funny little articles here. Here we go. Listen to this one. Oh, this is fun. Do I have any Ewoks? You know, I do have a few Ewoks. I think it's part of like a Christmas tree ornament package. Like my wife got me this Return of the Jedi Christmas ornament figurine package several years ago. It had like six different things from Return of the Jedi in there. It had Luke, it had Han, Vader, and I think it had C-3PO and an Ewok. So I don't but yeah, as far as a figure or anything, I don't have an actual figure of an Ewok, and I don't know if I ever did. I need to go to. We actually have a store that opened up in a local mall that does have a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say classic Star Wars figures, but probably like, you know, 80s, 90s type stuff. So I'm gonna have to go check that out. I've been grabbing a bunch of stuff from there. I actually grabbed like a Princess Leia from there the other day in her bounty hunter gear from Return of the Jedi. I grabbed a Grand Moff Tarkin he's got like a Imperial blaster. That's pretty badass. And I got R2-D2. So I'm gonna go grab a bunch of other ones here. Jeremy Bishop 4 says, being in Ohio, do you ever fight Midnight Mike? I've never fought Midnight Mike, but I actually was on the OBDM. I can never say this podcast correctly. Midnight Mike is the Our Big Dumb Mouth podcast, so it's OBDM. I swear I can't. That's one I cannot look up. I type in, you know, OMDB, like I'm typing in IMDb. And then I try to type in like BDSM, but that's something different. But OBDM podcast, Our Big Dumb Mouth podcast with Midnight Mike and Cretchid. I was actually on there a week and a half ago. So we had a great time chatting about Star Wars. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out on YouTube or the podcast feed. It was a great time. But I've never fought him. I don't know if maybe that was a typo. I've never fought him. He'd probably kick my ass. Most people would probably kick my ass because I put on a few pounds in my late 30s. You know, after you have kids, it just happens. Not that I'm making excuses, but I'm not in the best shape of my life. As I sip Corona from a Yoda, sip Yona from a Corona. All right, so here's some good articles here I just looked up. So, French restaurant serves up food of the future. Insects. Wow. That sounds really fun. I mean, I think we've probably all heard about that from our buddies at the World Economic Forum, how they want us to eat bugs in the future. So it sounds like France is already starting to go down that rabbit hole, serving some insects and stuff. And hey, has anybody in the chat here, has anybody ever eaten insects before? I mean, I remember hearing about this 10, 20 years ago, people eating like chocolate-covered ants or chocolate-covered grasshoppers, stuff like that. Has anybody ever done that? Is that a thing, or is that just kind of weird? Because for me, it always sounded kind of weird, but Then again, I also think people wearing masks while mowing is weird. So I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing there. So here's another good article here, and I'm gonna. Hey, thank you everybody who's joined in. I appreciate everybody hopping in. Scott Kale5, hey, good to see you, man. So here's another good article here that I just found. Would you? And this is on Yahoo News. They have this odd news section of really dumb stuff. It says, "Would you wash with snail slime soap?" Would you wash with snail slime soap? I would not. I would actually not. Once again, this is also coming from France. France is really ahead of the curve on this insect BS here. So let's see what else we got. It's funny. I'm looking at the odd news, and there's all these pictures of Joe Biden. I don't know if that's an accident or what, but oh god, oh good god. Oh, good God. If you can hear things in the background here, there are fireworks going off around here. I hope it doesn't wake up my kids. That would not be very cool. Okay, so this is where is this at? In Romania, in the Carpathian Mountains, where Vlad the Impaler hailed from. Everybody knows kind of that classic story from history about how he was like the source of all the Dracula documents. He was impaling people and allegedly a cannibal and all this crazy kind of stuff. But really that museum and castle now, it's like a tourist attraction. So here's this article about Vlad the Impaler, about his castle. This is the headline. You almost don't need to hear anymore. It says, "Vlad the Vaccinator. Dracula's castle lures visitors with COVID-19 jabs." I'm going to need a drink to get into this shit. That's good Yoda Corona. All right, here we go. Visitors to Dracula's castle are more likely to find puncture marks in their arms than their necks this month. After medics set up a COVID-19 vaccination center at the Transylvania attraction. Doctors and nurses with fang stickers on their scrubs are offering free Pfizer shots to all that come to the 14th century castle, which is an inspiration for the vampire in Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, what do they put fangs on the needle? Oh, you just got bit by Dracula. Not really, you just got bit by something that's going to save grandma. God, I can't. I can't, but let's be honest, if Star Wars Land was offering COVID shots for, meeting Harrison Ford or going on the Millennium Falcon or something, I don't know, maybe I'd think about it twice, but no, I wouldn't. Yeah, Scott, yeah, that's crazy, what the hell, I gotta keep reading a little bit more about this. Anyone can turn up without an appointment every weekend in May. They also get, not only do you get to see Vlad the Impaler's castle and get your COVID shot, but you get free entry to the castle's exhibit of 52 medieval torture instruments. Wow. Actually, let's call it 53 medieval torture instruments because we're talking about the vaccine. Add that in there. That is a torture instrument. Garbage. All right. Oh, boy. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my entire life. Anybody in the chat, feel free if you know any stories or any news stories or anything that you want to talk about or you're interested in, feel free to let me know and I'll pull some stuff up here. I'm just kind of free balling it here, just seeing what we're doing. It just free balling, not really free balling it. I mean, I got underwear on, but just free balling it in a metaphorical sense. So here we go. Oh, here's a fun one. A man in a bear suit is walking from Los Angeles to San Francisco. So a man in a bear suit walking from LA to San Francisco, probably to have some freaky gay sex. That's really the only reason a dude would be walking to San Francisco in a bear outfit. I mean, let's be honest. Jim Good, underwear is for virgins, let the boys out. I'm not a virgin, but I like the feel of the boxers, but you're probably right. If I took them off now, it would probably get this live stream canceled, just because people don't want to see that. But your point is well taken. I will let the boys out. Who let the boys out? Boing, boing, boing. Okay. Let's keep going here in some really stupid articles. Okay, here we go. More vaccine. It's good that these are in the stupid news about, the vaccine BS. Oh, and this is in Washington, D.C. Stupid activity. Washington, D.C. Here we go. D.C. marijuana activists stage joints for jabs to promote vaccines. Of course, this article was on 420. So, in Washington, D.C., you can get a joint. In Romania, you can go see medieval torture devices for the vaccine. I mean, this stuff is great. This is great. It doesn't make me want to drink at all. All right. Let's keep going here through some really, really, really dumb articles. I still can't believe that Vlad the Vaccinator BS. That is stupid fucking shit. Oh, here's more vaccine bonuses here. Here we go. In Thailand, cattle for raffle. Sally side saddle, hey. Cattle for raffle gets a town in Thailand in the mood for vaccines. I mean, this is so stupid. This is so dumb. A district of northern Thailand has launched a raffle campaign for inoculated residents to win a live cow per week for the rest of the year. Oh my God. In a bid to boost the local vaccine drive. Wow. One lucky villager will get a free cow every week worth around $300. So let's do the rundown here for those who just joined some of these great articles we've been looking at. In Romania, you can visit Vlad the Impaler's temple and get your COVID vaccination, and also visit the medieval torture devices. In Washington, D.C., you can get free joints for getting your COVID vaccination. And in Thailand, you can get a cow. So, I mean, that's like the big three right there, right? You get to smoke it up, you get to eat some good meat, and then you get to check out medieval torture devices. I mean, that's just, for me, that's like a Wednesday. But I mean, for a lot of people, they can actually, if you have the money, you can go around the world and get all that done. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So, I love it. I love it. Okay, this is a fun one too. Jim Good says, I'll just beat the meat. Okay. You can do that too. I mean, if you're in Thailand, whenever you get that cow, every cow a week, you can do whatever you want with it. You can beat the meat. You can beat your own meat with the cow watching. I mean, it's completely up to you. It's completely up to you. Okay, this was a fun one from a few days ago. I don't know if anybody saw this, but this newscaster in, where was it? Where was this person at? It was a newscaster in some city. They were trying to do this. They were trying to do this broadcast about, how to find out if your kid is smoking weed. And it was on Twitter, and it was a picture of a kid's bedroom, and it says, this is a perfectly normal bedroom, but you wouldn't know that the kid who lives in this room has been smoking weed and doing drugs. Toxic Patriotism, sup big dog? Scott Kale5, yes, most promoted shot in history. Yes, absolutely. It is. I mean, it's got a whole marketing campaign behind it. I've heard this on a lot of podcast stuff. A true pandemic, you don't need to promote it. You don't need a PR campaign. I mean, everybody has known someone that has died in a true pandemic. I cannot say that about this, whatever they want to call it, pandemic. I mean, people that have died, I've heard, well, okay, they were overweight. Okay, they were really, really old. Okay, nothing against those people. And once again, here, the trigger warning, I'm making light of people dying, but some people, whatever they label it, we're probably going to die in the given year anyways. You can label it whatever you want. You can label it heart disease. You can label it pneumonia. You can label it the flu. You can label it COVID. But some people, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people are going to die in a given year. It's just they put it in the COVID category, and people get triggered by it. Sally Sidesaddle, weed isn't the drug. Yeah, you remember that from Half Baked? Marijuana's not a drug. I used to suck dick for coke. Great movie. But anyway, Sally Sidesaddle, weed isn't the drug. Just Big Pharma's worst enemy because it helps reduce inflammation, which causes illnesses. Yes, absolutely. And, it's good for anxiety and a lot of other stuff, too. I've heard it both ways. I've heard people that have had good side effects from it. That was just one time. Yeah, Jim Good. That was just one time you sucked dick for coke? Bullshit. One time this week. I know you. But yeah, I've heard, back to the weed, I've heard a few different things about it. Some people have said it had made them angry and this and that, and some people said it had good effects. So, just like anything, certain things affect people in different ways. Yeah, Sally Sideside, yeah, definitely not for everyone. I mean, I've known people who have, smoked a little bit, and, they got super paranoid, and, their whole world is just oh my God, they're having a rough time, which is why I think that kind of stuff should be more regulated, because if it was regulated, you could have kind of a doctor's appointment and say, hey, this is kind of things I'm going through, anxiety, depression, this and that, and you can kind of get a specific blend or whatever that's tailor-made to kind of your needs, because, where I live in Ohio and in other places where it's not regulated, it's just, you're just getting whatever, you're getting whatever, and, it could be whatever you want anytime. For all you know, there could be fentanyl or bullshit in there, too. Go back here. Toxic Patriotism from a minute or so ago. Scamdemic, it sounds cliche as fuck. Yeah. Jim Good, definitely not a weed guy myself. Yeah, I know you're not a weed guy. You said you were sucking dick for coke. Toxic Patriotism. I get pretty paranoid now, but it's good when I'm smoking alone at home. I don't like to smoke socially, and yeah, Northern Kentucky. Yeah, the paranoia stuff is no good, is no bueno, but I think there's certain kinds that are probably better for certain situations. So Sally Sideside, I'll just mention a great Saturday Night Live reference here. 4 days clean because the Cork Soakers at work are actually doing random drug tests. Oh, I thank you for the Cork Soaker reference. That's hilarious. Back when Saturday Night Live was actually funny, the cork soaking skit was friggin' hilarious before they got super woke. Toxic Patriotism. A friend died from fentanyl weed. He was 22. Holy shit. Dude, that is ridiculous. And really sad. I mean, a quick rabbit trail before I get to the story about this newscaster talking about, teens and marijuana. Toxic Patriotism, you just brought it up about fentanyl. Really, fentanyl is the main. Yeah, it is super sad, man. Sorry to hear that. It's really the main culprit in most heroin overdoses and stuff, because they cut the heroin with the fentanyl just to kind of bulk up the supply, because the fentanyl is easy to get and whatnot, and it's no different than you think our food supply. Things like wheat bread. I mean, it's not really wheat. It's pumped up. It's pumped up with a bunch of other bullshit. Yeah, thoughts and prayers, Toxic Patriotism, to your friend. Really sorry to hear about that. But like I was saying, with wheat and stuff in our food supply, it's pumped up with so much other bullshit, hormones, whatever you want to call it, just to increase the supply. So same with fentanyl, Toxic Patriotism. You probably know this better than anybody. They cut that with other shit just so they can make the supply go longer. And, I was talking about this earlier on Instagram here with a really great dude, Odd Man Out. If you're not following Odd Man Out, go check out his work. He's a really great dude. He was just on my podcast a week or so ago. But he was mentioning how, Johnson & Johnson and a few of the other drug manufacturers have been dinged hard over fentanyl in several states. Here in Ohio, a few counties up here in kind of more of the urban areas, Johnson & Johnson just had to pay back, something like $90 million to a few of the counties up here, because they were pushing the fentanyl drug itself. They were pushing the advertising of it to all these local communities. Okay, and it's pretty easy to say that fentanyl is a pretty fucking shitty drug, and there's probably very limited situations where someone may need to be on. I don't know if maybe life-saving things that may help. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how all that works. But in my opinion, there's very limited reasons in situations that fentanyl should be used. But anyways, Johnson & Johnson paid back, probably across the country, millions, maybe even billions, and set aside all this billions of dollars for all these drug claims and stuff, for all the fentanyl they were pushing. And they're one of the ones that are pushing the vaccine now. So you can correlate that in two different ways. For one, why should you trust these motherfuckers that thought it was okay to, hey, do wrong right, good to see you. How can you trust these pharmaceutical companies that have been pushing fentanyl all these years and saying it's a great thing? And for two, are they pushing the vaccine now to make more money off it because to offset these losses? That was what Oddman brought up on here earlier. So really insightful points. But the fact of the matter is, these pharmaceutical companies don't care about us. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the bottom line for them. They don't care what it is. They make trillions of dollars. They'll pay back billions of dollars in fines and whatever that you need. I mean, all of those major companies have been sued in court for millions and millions and millions of dollars for improper what have you. So why should we trust them that they're the appropriate people that should be giving us these amazing COVID vaccines is beyond me. Toxic patriotism, yeah. Northern Kentucky has a real problem with it. Cincinnati also, yeah, absolutely. Up here in Northeast Ohio too, it's really bad. It's one of the number one killers. That's one of the things that's gone unnoticed during this, whatever you want to call, pandemic or 2020, 2021 is, a lot more drug use, a lot more suicide, a lot more depression, things like that. A lot of that probably has more impactful than like the medical. I don't want to. I don't trust the CDC numbers, but just by using the CDC numbers, I would assume that there's more people affected by the other side effects of this whole pandemic, which was, people losing their jobs, people being depressed, people turning to drugs, all that other kind of stuff, more than people actually dying from the disease or however they want to classify it. Yeah, the baby powder, ridiculous. Sally Sidesaddle says, if not for the vaccine being forced down everyone's throats, every one of these companies would be so far underwater. It's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's crazy because these companies make billions of dollars. And I mean, there's probably really well-meaning people that work at these companies, Once again, I'm not shitting on those people, but the people at the top, they're really pushing an agenda. They're really pushing money over people. So it's really sad. I realized this is toxic patriotism in the comments here. I realized today the reason they push so much anti-life bullshit in food and drugs is because we are in a time where we should be easily living until our early hundreds. They don't want us getting old. Yeah, 100%. You nailed it. You nailed it right there, dude. That's so. It's so true. And a guy I listen to a lot, and listen to him if you haven't, is Charlie Robinson of the Macroaggressions podcast. He's actually help kind of promote my podcast, get me on a lot of other shows and stuff. But one thing he said, and it was a really great quote, he said, these pharmaceutical companies, they don't want us healthy, okay, because they won't make any money. They don't want us dead, because that doesn't make them any money either. They want us just sick enough to have to constantly rely on them like a sponge or like a symbiotic relationship. We constantly need them. They basically want us on a metaphorical life support is what they really want, because we're going to keep feeding and even I think the healthcare industry in general, and I'll kind of go off on a little tangent. I'll get back to the story I was trying to talk about here, but you guys have brought up some great points here. My son was in the children's hospital for a few days this week, and he's back home and he's fine. And I appreciate everybody who sent me kind words and comments and stuff. But he's fine and everything. He was having some digestive issues and whatnot. And as we were getting discharged, I asked the nurse, I'm like, hey, with these issues he had, it was really difficult for him to be in here. Do you have leech? Yeah, that's the word I was trying to say, leech. They want us to be the leech with them. I asked this nurse, I said, do you have any resources or brochures or pamphlets or anything about digestive issues with kids with autism? because we don't want him to come back in here again. It was very difficult for him to be in here. It's just like the sensory overload, all this kind of stuff. And they didn't have anything for me, okay? They didn't have any resources on how to keep him healthy so he didn't have to go back in the hospital again. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer, but I'm not a psychopath. The problem is, and I posted this the other day, the healthcare system, I posted this on Twitter, I don't think I posted it on Instagram, the healthcare system is funded by return customers. It's not funded by keeping people healthy. Whether that's kids, adults, what have you. And a lot of issues and ailments may not be cured, but they can be properly treated with, diet, exercise, supplements, all that kind of stuff. But not a lot of people get that kind of guidance. Not a lot of people are willing to go look up that stuff themselves. And I was just trying to see, like, hey, I have no problem researching this stuff about my kids' diet and nutrition and stuff myself. But I'm like, listen, do you guys just have something that you routinely give people? And they didn't have anything, which is kind of a frustrating thing here. So where was I going with this? Hold on a second. Let me get hit some of these comments again. But yeah, toxic patriotism. Yeah, kind of to your point, right? Like they don't want us to be healthy. They need us to constantly need them. That's why you saw during COVID, you saw a lot of censorship of drugs that were cheap and would help people more than others. Sally Sidesaddle says, entire industry that profits off illness isn't interested in getting to the root cause of illnesses and eradicating them against their self-interest. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, if I'm selling a product, I guess one comparison is, and I don't know, maybe this is still a thing, maybe it isn't, but back when I was a teenager and stuff, like rechargeable batteries were a big thing, and maybe it still is, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to have much popularity anymore, or I think a lot of people would be in on it, but rechargeable batteries had was a whole thing, and the point of that was, hey, you don't really need to buy batteries. You just need to buy batteries once, and then you can get this charger, and then you can kind of charge them up and good to go. Now, like I said, I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if that kind of thing isn't around anymore because they don't want to cut off their own revenue stream. And I mean, I'm in the finance world, so I mean that makes sense from a revenue finance perspective. You don't want to, cut off any revenue streams you have. But I think there are better ways to focus their resources and still make a profit, but they're so greedy at this point. I mean, these pharmaceutical companies are so far in it. Think about a movie like Scarface. This dude had everything, and he couldn't stop. He couldn't stop. Like any gangster, any mob movie, like they always want more and more and more. That's just like these pharmaceutical companies. They can't settle for this. Sorry, I paused for a second there. They can't settle for this revenue when they've been making this and this and this for decades and decades. So let me hit a few more of these comments here. Toxic Patriotism says, metaphorical life support, aka socialism, communism. Yeah, they want us to be constantly needing them. Sally Sidesaddle says, makes sense. Doctors are trained to be reactionary once we are sick. They don't have to be bad people. They're largely good people in a trash system. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of my research, the American Medical Association was founded by, the Rockefellers and the Rockefeller Foundation, all this, and so people who come up in the medical industry are taught a certain way, and just like in the school, you're taught a certain thing about history and this and that, and you weren't taught other things. You can find that on your own, but that's just not your go-to. That's not what you were tested on and quizzed on. Manny says healthcare system needs to be regulated. $50 for a Band-Aid at the doctor's office. Yeah, absolutely. There should be ways to regulate that. Absolutely. Jim Good says the senator who wrote Obamacare is the son of the founder of Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. The original patent for the filament in the light bulb was for $10,000, but then they realized they couldn't sell light bulbs. Yeah, exactly. If you think about it too, like even like homes and stuff, like houses. Like, look at houses that were built, 50 to 100 years ago, like versus houses that are built today. Just like there's probably not a lot of maintenance. I mean, they were built with such steady and sturdy materials versus I think they do it the cheapest as possible now. Toxic Patriotism says, did you look into the HQC couple who was murdered a few years ago that nobody knew why they were killed, never found the killer, but they were a big hydrochloroquine generic manufacturer? No, I've never heard about that. That's very interesting. I'm going to take a note of that and look at that here. Maybe let me keep going on here. I bet they wouldn't go for the 2020 COVID BS. Yeah, probably why they took him out. Same with the founder of the PCR test. I forget his name right off the bat. The founder of the PCR test, Kerry Mullis. Like, he died in late 2019. Right before some of this stuff the COVID stuff started to kind of get into the mainstream. You wonder if that was intentional or whatnot. Sorry, burping a little bit here. Toxic Patriotism says, I know some really nice drug dealers, they just care about feeding their family. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. It's one of those things where you're taught to, trust police officers and look down on drug dealers, but at the same time, they're shitty police officers and really nice, well-meaning drug dealers. It just kind of is what it is. I mean, there's a gray space. We're taught that everything is black and white. Not race related, mind you, but we're taught that everything is like good or bad. Like, you're either here or you're here. Like, you're a policeman, you're a firefighter, you're in the military, you're a drug dealer, you do this, you do that. Morality is not equal to legality. Sally Side Saddle says, yes, absolutely. If anybody has Christian beliefs, I mean, Jesus was an enemy of the state. He did not abide by their rules. So in the mind's eye, you would have said, oh, he's not following the rules, he's an evil person. But no, he had a higher power than that. The doctors are just trying to feed their family too. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, it all goes every which way. I don't know how people can't understand. Yeah. It's very complex. And, especially, when you get into conspiracy, the realm and stuff, I think we're all, at a certain point, you want to find a conspiracy in everything and think that everybody is in on stuff. But at the same time, like you're saying there, Toxic Patriotism, there's a lot of well-meaning people in a lot of industries that may be considered evil or, have a bad purpose, like pharmacy or police officers, military, politicians, etc. There are well-meaning people within there. But it's those people at the very top that are writing the rules. I mean, let's be honest, everybody at their job, you have to do what your boss tells you to do, for the most part. I mean, then again, that's no excuse. I mean, look at a lot of the Nazis. They said, well, I was just doing what I was told. Well, that's a different situation altogether. What was I saying there? The doctor's just trying to feed the family. Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is, most people just kind of don't want to be bothered. I think one great quote from the movie Office Space. One of my favorite movies. Peter, the main character, says, I just don't want to be hassled. I just don't want to deal with anything. I just would rather just kind of just scoot through life. And I think that's how a lot of people are. I mean, I kind of was like that until probably the last year or so, and kind of really started to think about what was truly going on out there, and woke up a little bit. But I think for the most part, and this isn't an excuse or giving people a cop out, but I think a lot of people at the end of the day just don't really want to be bothered by a lot of stuff, and they just kind of want to go along with whatever they're told they're supposed to do and go about their way, whatever will just get them from point A to point B. Like, listen, I just want to go home to my family, I just want to get to bed, I want to go do this, I'll have to do this to go to work, okay, I'll do this to go to work. Not giving them an excuse, but at the same time, I think that's just how a lot of people are. I don't think a lot of people have devious intentions. I just think a lot of people just don't want to be hassled. Excuse me. The issue is the left doesn't give a shit and they're going to thrust their beliefs on you. Yeah. I think there are some serious extremist groups in this country that their voices seem louder than the rest of us. And, I think on both sides, on the left and the right, I think a lot of people, for the most part, are probably kind of moderate, but those fringes can kind of, start to seep into more overall people, and they may be influenced by that a little bit. The left is completely naked. I just can't wait to see all parties that way. All right, let me get back to this. Oops, let me try to get back to this video. This thing I want to share from earlier. So, this newscaster in St. Louis, she made this post on Twitter, and it was a picture of a kid's bed, a teenager's bedroom. And I'll post this up on Instagram after we're done here if anybody wants to take a look. It's a picture of a kid's bedroom, and her tweet says, "Looks like a normal teen's bedroom, right? Well, think again. Coming up on the show, we'll show you what parents should be looking for so that I can identify signs of drug use. I was shocked at what I found in this room." So, the picture of what she posted, supposedly a totally innocuous kid's bedroom that she found all these little clues that there was drug use in. For one, there was a humongous tie-dye picture on the wall. Okay, so for one, you can equate tie-dye to drug use. I mean, not making any issues about drug use. I'm just saying, like, that's one thing you can kind of correlate to drug use, is like the whole tie-dye thing, hippie thing. So there's a huge tie-dye thing, a mural on the wall. So, I mean, that's probably a pretty big sign that there may be drug use. And then there's a sign in the corner. It's like one of those mile marker signs that you'll see on the highway, but it says mile marker 420. Okay, so she's trying to say, like, this is just some innocuous bedroom. Like, you can't even find any clues in this room that this kid is doing drugs. A motherfucker, they got tie-dye everywhere, and they got a 420 sign. They're obviously doing drugs. Like, did you just wake up out of a long nap or something? I mean, Jesus Christ! I gotta post this picture. Hold on, let me see if I can show you guys it on here. Okay, look at this. See this kid's bedroom? See the tie-dye, and then look in the bottom corner, mile marker 420. This person's an idiot. Obviously, this kid's on drugs. Like, they totally set up this room in a certain way. It's absolutely hilarious. Okay. Here we go. God, some of these articles are so stupid. Do they listen to... Yeah, they listen to Cottonmouth Kings. They have a Cottonmouth Kings... Yeah, they should have a Cottonmouth Kings poster. They should have a 311 poster. They should have a Pink Floyd poster. Yeah, Scott Kale, where's the bong? Yeah, they should have a huge water bong. You wouldn't believe these kids are smoking weed. This is insane. Oh my God. People are so silly. Hey, I didn't read anything about this, but wasn't there something that came out today about the Pentagon talking about space and UFOs? I heard they were supposed to release some report about UFOs, which is probably just a bunch of bullshit. But I'm going to pull up something here to see if there's any information about this. So, they were supposed to release a report about unidentified objects or blah blah blah. Whatever they release isn't going to be real anyways. Yeah, it's so stupid. Oh, what am I on here? Hold on a second. Pentagon. I'm trying to type with one hand and drink out of Yoda in another hand. It's very difficult. Pentagon UFO Report. Scott Kale says it was a big nothing. Yeah, I figured. Let's see what it says. UAPs, which is what it's unidentified aerial phenomena. So that's their new word. They don't like UFO anymore. They like UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Okay. 11 near misses have been recorded by pilots, according to the highly anticipated intelligence report. That looks like a bunch of garbage. The limited amount of high-quality reporting hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions. Yeah, bullshit. You guys have been operating this stuff for decades at this point. It's all just a bunch of malarkey. Malarkey! Come on, man. Safety concerns. They reported 11 instances which pilots reported near misses with an unidentified aerial phenomena. There isn't enough data. There isn't enough data. I mean, there have been, hundreds, if not thousands, of reports of unidentified flying objects. Go check out the OBDM podcast with Midnight Mike and Kretschid. They talk about the UFO stuff all the time. They talk about encounters that people have going back, decades, that have been actual reported. I mean, there's a zillion documentary stuff, and you can believe whatever you want about it, but there's been so much evidence and so much stuff out there. I say evidence loosely. There's so many reports out there that it can't be a big nothing. But of course, if we're trusting the Pentagon to be forthcoming about anything, just remember they told us that a plane crashed into the Pentagon on 9/11 and blew a hole about this big. This is I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but this is an airplane-size hole in the Pentagon. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's nuts. All right, let me go back to some more cool articles here. Woman wore the same Hawaiian shirt to 264 Zoom meetings and no one noticed. Probably was a model, yeah. Yeah, dude. I fell for all the 9/11 stuff. The 9/11, like, America, we gotta go get those terrorists because of this and that, and it's unbelievable that a lot of people fell for it. And I want to be clear about this because once again, you don't want to trigger anybody. I feel like a lot of people were persuaded to join the military, go overseas, do that stuff because of 9/11. Their patriotism was peaked to a certain extent, and they wanted to do their American duty and go over and fight, and they may have died or come back with PTSD or issues or whatever. And it's kind of sad. I mean, it's all these psyops that have happened that have caused a reaction out of people. You have to people have to take personal responsibility for things, of course, but it doesn't take much to persuade someone to go fight terrorists after they just, if you're told they just killed 4,000 people. So that's kind of crazy there. Here's another great article here, and this is: a woman creates a perfect sign to warn neighbors of thieving cat. An Oregon woman, well, that's your problem right there. An Oregon woman made a hilarious attempt to return the items her cat had stolen. She made a sign that said, "My cat is a thief," and strung up all this stuff on a wire. This is the dumbest article I've ever read in my life. I'm going to something else. Time to wake Q50. Do you know anything about morgellons? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Let me go back to Yahoo here. They have to attack our brain function next. Morgellons. I better go to DuckDuckGo for this one here. Hold on. So morgellons fibers in the masks are causing this, and this is I'm reading this definition here from Wikipedia, so take this with a grain of salt. Morgellons.us. It's living hair follicles, but metals. So masks are causing this? That's what they're saying? It's a disease caused by a fungus. It can be transmitted by air, contact with an infected person, undiagnosed. Nanofibers. It is spread largely unimpeded due to the medical community's refusal to acknowledge what is right in front of them. It's caused by many things, yeah, and swabs and chemtrails. Ugh. It looks nasty. So it's a skin disease. But it pops when masks are required. Is it deadly? Is it like, what's the extent of what they're saying about it here? morgellons.org. I'm looking at morgellons mask. Here we go. Morgellons fibers discovered in face masks. And this is a website I've never heard of before, alanafreeland.com, so take that with a grain of salt. Morgellons, you might be surprised that people are finding its filaments in the recommended masks and the swabs for COVID-19. It makes sense that the fibers are everywhere. So there's a lot of research here I need to do about this. That's kind of crazy. Morgellons fibers discovered in disposable face masks. A disturbing compilation of several videos from different countries reveal what has been described. Morgellons fibers embedded in disposable masks that move like worms. Oh, with interactive intelligence to outside stimulation. One woman said these are the same masks that children are made to wear to school. Holy frickin' shit. That's disgusting. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit more. This is creeping me out. Oh. Gross. Called delusions. It's torturous and people get treated as if it's mental. They ostracize true victims. Called delusions. It's messed up. Thank you for looking into this. Yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'd never heard about that before. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Smartdust. Look into that as well. Yeah, Smartdust. Let me pull that up too. Awesome. Jacob Petrosa 14 says Joe Biden is a robot. Joe Biden is something. I don't know if he's a robot. Okay, can we talk about that crazy whisper press conference he had the other day? I wrote the bill on the environment. $9 billion. What the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck was that? I mean, it was obviously a compilation, so maybe it was taken out of context, but still, why is he talking like this? Is he talking to children? Does he think he's talking to children? I mean, this dude, this is our hero. I think that's how he fucks bitches, so he was using it to fuck us. Yeah. I mean, it was odd, I don't like Joe Biden or anything, but it was oddly sexual. Come on, man. Like, what if he just said that? Come on, man. Malarkey. What if he just started talking like that all the time in every press conference? Like, I can't believe that. I can't believe that that's literally our president. But obviously, some people said the same about Trump. So, pick whatever side you want. I mean, it's all a game. I think a lot of people kind of realize it's kind of a game. Wow. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, if a guy said that in the club, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, man. Come on, man. Malarkey. Hey, girl. Malarkey. Okay, Smartdust. So I looked up Smartdust, too. Hold on one second. I'm trying to avoid the Wikipedia definitions here, because that's all bullshit. I love Wikipedia articles about something controversial because it always starts out with, this is a debunked right-wing conspiracy theory. It's like, I just looked up, Tylenol. Like, take it easy, Wikipedia. Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is from Newsweek. COVID-19 vaccine embedded in chemtrail stardust. I don't know what this Newsweek.live is here. How a COVID-19 vaccine could be embedded in chemtrail smart dust and activated by 5G. Oh, God. So now we got, wow. So now we got chemtrails, 5G, and COVID vaccine here. Holy shit. This live stream is about to be taken down. The feds are about to be knocking on my door. Thanks, guys, for making me look this up. I'm about to go to jail. Today, as I looked into the morning dawn, I can see the powers that be were once again... Oh, I can see the powers that be were once again littering the sky with trails of toxic garbage known as chemtrails. Created by Lens 1.0. My homie Amit. How you doing, brother? Everybody go follow Creation by Lens 1.0. Great dude right there. Great dude. Supports a lot of people in this community, and he takes some really damn good pictures and photos too. So go check him out. Okay, so we're reading about the COVID-19 vaccine embedded in chemtrail smart dust. So somebody looked up in the sky and they saw what they call toxic garbage known as chemtrails. For those of you uninitiated, contrails are ice crystals that form when a hot jet engine interacts with the freezing temperatures of high altitude flight and quickly dissipate. Conversely, chemtrails are chemicals sprayed into the lower atmosphere from a jet's holding tank. Usually chemtrails contain aluminum, barium, and strontium. I'm not going to read this whole article, but the question is, was Wuhan a beta test for smart dust activation via the 5G network? And is it any coincidence this 5G wave is known as the V wave, as in virus? So wow, this is a whole thing here. It's all, yeah. Time to wake. Yeah, it's all connected. It's all connected. I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more. You know, every time you think you know the biggest, newest conspiracy or what have it. I don't even know if I like using the word conspiracy, but the next, kind of truth bomb that they're trying to hide from us, another thing like this comes out. So thank you guys in here for dropping this knowledge on me. I'll have to take a look into this stuff a little bit further. Just me and my wife were sitting outside the other day and just looking up at the sky and seeing those chemtrails going on. Because I told her, I'm like, look up in the sky. Well, what the hell is that? There's not that many planes that have gone by those places. We don't normally only see planes go like a certain way over our house. Like, what the hell is that? And she's like, yeah, that is freaking weird. Yeah, rabbit holes after rabbit holes. Absolutely. So I'm going to have to look into these, and of course, as you guys know, if you follow my podcast or my page, I gotta find a way to link it into Star Wars somehow. So, that's fun stuff right there. Holy crap! What time is it? Is it really 10 almost 10:30? Holy crap! We've been going for quite a while here. I'm probably gonna wrap it up after a few more minutes here, but I really appreciate Time to Wait Q5, Toxic Patriotism. Jacob Petroza, and everybody who's been putting stuff in the comments here. I really appreciate the interaction. I can only ramble on by myself for so long before I will just go off the rails and and nobody wants to hear that bullshit. So thank you guys for all your comments in here. I really appreciate it. And one of the greatest Instagram handles has just joined. Melania's butt plug V2 has just joined. So good evening, Melania's butt plug. That sounds super weird, but hey, I love that name and I love the content you post. Scott KO5, we get chemtrails all day here in Arizona. Okay, yeah, it's a thing. I mean, it's definitely a thing. I haven't researched enough to know what specifically, but it's definitely a thing. And one thing I had thought of was if they could aerosolize the COVID vaccine, that would get so many more people inherently in contact with it, especially people like us who are, I don't want to speak for anybody else besides myself, but people that are labeled, a COVID vaccine denier or a vaccine hesitant person. Like, if they could aerosolize that shit and put it out into the world, that would be fucked up. But I wouldn't put it past them. Toxic Patriotism says, I can't wait to hear how we all talk in 5 years. We all sound like a cool black guy in the 70s. Yeah, in the 70s, a cool black guy. Even in the early 80s. I mean, let's talk about my homie Lando Calrissian. That was a cool dude right there. I mean, did he fuck him over a little bit? Yeah, but you know what? He had no choice. He was smooth about it, though. And he gave the princess a kiss. You belong here with us among the stars. Yeah. His voice is like the opposite of like that Joe Biden. So you got that Joe Biden whisper. Then you got the Lando Calrissian. Hello, what have we here? It's a broad spectrum there. Anytime I may start going live, if anyone cares what I think, well, my wife hates it. yeah, my wife actually went out with her friends tonight, so I kind of had a few minutes to myself, so I kind of wanted to throw some thoughts in here, and I appreciate everybody chatting in here. Spraying neural lace amongst other stuff. Time to wake you. Yeah, I'll have to look that up as well. So, wow, I went a lot longer on here than I thought I was going to, but it's been a great time. We talked about a lot of silly stuff, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of stuff that'll probably get us all banned. Talking about this smartdust. Hey, there's a thing in Star Wars called Operation Stardust, so maybe I got a connection there. Stay tuned. But anyways, everybody who's here, I appreciate all of you. If you haven't, check out my podcast called Conspiracy in the Force. I talk about a lot of the conspiracy stuff in this world. Link it to Star Wars in one way, shape, or form. But I'm kind of branching out and just kind of more non-Star Wars stuff, just because I don't want to limit it to just that, because, I get not everybody's into Star Wars, sci-fi, nerd kind of stuff like that, but I like chatting about this kind of stuff, and it's really fun, and I think there's a really great community out there of everybody in here. Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're the man. So much stuff. So I appreciate everybody who puts info out there into the universe, into the world. Spread the word about all this crazy stuff going on to your friends, families, etc. And I'll do the same. And until next time, may the Force be with you. This is Conspiracy Kyle.
Good night.